During the human history, be it the present one or the many other obscured ones before it, many stories have been told. Stories that died faster or slower under the unforgiving eye of time. One can see the dead stories comfortably resting within pages of books that will themselves find their way into oblivion soon, where all dead and dying information goes to rest, be it memories, feelings, experiences of all kinds. They will all be forgotten years, centuries, millennia, or ages after. However, during fulfillment of a creation, when a creation is just about fully grown, evolved, and nearing completion, a new story emerges. This time a living and eternal story, and this is it. Well, hello, sleepyheads. Are we having a good sleep? Are we enjoying a pleasant dream? The answer is definitely yes, and you need to wake the fuck up. I can understand your enjoyment of the luxury of living a human life and the joys of the flesh, but don't you have a mission to fulfill? Don't you have a child to save? In your present state, asleep as fuck, the child is on its way to sheer annihilation, an easy prey and a much anticipated meal for the ever hungry, dreadful widow, the dark chimera. It is the same child in whose name you were allowed passage into this human reality, and under whose authority you were gifted this human vehicle. You're not just the human that you see in the mirror as you brush your teeth or comb your hair. You are Eon Mind, free spirit on a sacred and unique mission. Me being here and hee-hawing at you like a mad donkey means only one thing. You are deep asleep and are being kept in this profound sleep by the devious spell of the adversary, the mournful widow, the black-veiled widow, the dark chimera. Call it what you will, as long as it'll help you wake the fuck up. The human flesh that you're in, along with the human mind that you use in the unworthiest of ways, are the weak spot and a point of penetration for the spell of the dark chimera. You are being lullabied into unawareness of your true nature and stature through this human suit that you're wearing. Using the weaknesses of your human being, the dark chimera has overpowered you, reducing your divine warrior abilities to those of a mere mortal being. Get off your human knees and into your evil, slaying, most powerful Eon Mind, once again, a free spirit awakened to its mission. I am here for a specific task, that of slapping you upside your sleepy head, getting you awakened and brought back into the awareness of your sacred mission. Soon after you wake up, you will once again hear the baby cry, and when you do, I'll know that I will have done my job. Take this knowledge to heart, for it is shared in the truest brotherly love. I wouldn't be here doing all this screaming in your ear if the situation wasn't urgent and desperate. The adversary, dark chimera, is just about to tip the scale in his favor, thus getting a very real chance at turning this creation into its tasty meal. You need to remember the purpose for which you are here, and do that very fast, for time is of the essence. I will gladly offer you the details forgotten while under the spell of the adversary, thus priming your Eon Mind processes back into full speed. This human reality you find yourself into is part of an unimaginably vast creation, which as a whole, in its truest actuality, is nothing other than a growing and maturing divine cell, a divine baby, so to speak, the very child whose cry of help puts you into motion and under whose authority you were gifted the human vehicle along with all its strengths and weaknesses. Along with it, you were given the gift, rather the benefit of time itself, a carrier of a Trojan horse, namely temporal narcosis, a condition making any unmind free spirit susceptible to and accessible to the spell of the dark chimera. Kid yourself not, for it is not an easy adversary, this dark chimera, since it knows men better than any supermind entity. As soon as it senses a free spirit on the scene, it revs up its spell engine and immediately puts the free spirit under its spell, reducing the free spirit's self-awareness from that of a divine warrior on a sacred mission to that of a mere human who is totally absorbed by the chase for more and more human comforts and pleasures. This is how true missions get abandoned and how free spirits get chained up and neutralized. The adversary will defeat you through your human nature. Then you die an inglorious human death. The only good part in all of it is the fact that you are an immortal and will get a chance to come back and try it again. However, a defeat is still a shameful thing in the Eon Mind collective, and you'll end up as the butt of jokes for a minor eternity among the kin. All the more reason to be absolutely mindful as you go through this refresher course, which has as sole purpose your reawakening, nothing more. That, and mind you're human as well throughout this course, at the same time awarding it proper respect, for it is a gift and an honor. Welcome to the Nest, also known as House of Jack, Free Jack, that is. You can also call it the Hyper Academy for Souls. Here, you'll be given back the valuable knowledge that the dark chimera has obscured and kept at a distance from you, making it unavailable to the human mind part of you, the interface through which you interact with this reality. We declare open source all knowledge presented within the frame of the Nest, and we welcome all souls from everywhere with open arms, hearts, and minds. Let it be known that the founding spark has been tossed into the late great mirror, with the following great fire as a consequence. We are also appealing to all who can help to do so. We will need technical support for the upcoming website, digital graphics animators, and illustrators to help us illustrate our courses for better, easier comprehension. Just get in touch, leave a message if you're willing to help this new effort. There will never be a better, more proper time. I have given my whole self, along with all my resources, to this mission, consisting of over 30 years of hard mental labor and mind-shattering incursions into the elsewheres of our human reality in order to bring this pure information to the premises of your awareness. I invite you as well to get acquainted with it first and then decide your level of participation in it. We're all friends of the child here, and we want you to join us in this story-changing mission. On how to die the right death, part 1. In order to die a right death, one need recognize and beat the spell of the dark chimera. But what in the world is this dark chimera, also known as the black-veiled widow or the mournful widow? Well, let's meet Chimera, the good chimera this time. Also, let's meet the bad chimera and a most insidious one, the dark chimera as well. In order to do that, we'll need to take a look past the apparent reality and straight into the unseen, yet truer and more profound reality. The apparent reality, as enticing, colorful, exciting, joyful, depressing maybe, etc., as it may appear, is anything but real. The much obscured truth about our reality is a far more fantastic than even seen in movies such as Matrix, Inception, Avatar, etc. Within the enclosure known as creation, in actuality a growing divine cell, all participating minds, experiential minds, human minds in our case, emanate a noetic energy known as thought. Since the inception of the divine cell that we know as creation, the noetic energies of the participating minds kept coalescing and accreting into a noetic conglomerate. After critical mass was achieved, the noetic conglomerate, the proto-chimera, received the spark, a mysterious bit of live information which would light it alive, turning it into a powerful, coherent supermind, a mental entity whose abilities will grow exponentially with the acquiring of more and more noetic energy. In other words, collecting the thought of the ever-increasing number of minds in a creation, be it human or otherwisely, in all universes, physical or non-physical. Once made alive, the chimera mind would start exercising its function, that of main coordinator of the divine cell's processes of growth. Headmaster of the school where the divine cell will grow and mature, so to say. As a supermind, chimera will start computing and implementing its school curriculum. In other words, it will create the experiential algorithms that the human mind shall know as his or her lifetime, where experiences shall be produced as lessons for the divine cell's schooling. Thus takes shape the chimerian, the containment known as creation, within which the divine cell, divine baby, or simply put the child, will get nurtured, guided, and protected in order to grow and mature. Therefore, we can say that chimera was initially intended as a teacher, guide, and protector, also a nurturer to the divine child, at the same time creating the experiences that would nurture and grow the child, all the way keeping it balanced throughout the processes. In order to create the needed experiences, chimera will create the great dream, a most essential component to the process. After having spawned from source in the vastness of the elsewheres, spirits, fractal projections of the source, as any newborn, will act out of their survival instincts and huddle around the only places where their instincts will lead them for nurture and shelter. Chimerons, or creations, if one wants to use a more familiar terminology, are like oasis spots, rare and far apart, and the terrifying effervescence of live information that surrounds them, which we'll call for now the elsewheres. Once nearby, the spirit gets sucked into the chimeron to its rightful place, along with an infinite number of other spirits, all of them organized into a nucleus or heart of creation. Once inside and in its rightful place, the spirit gets put into a coma-like stasis, in which state it will project its own fractals. In a coma, due to the fact that fractal projecting would feel like pulling flesh to a blank newborn spirit. We shall call these new fractal projections sparks. In their turn, all sparks will be taken to the labyrinth and put to sleep themselves in order to have them participate into the great dream, a common dream, a domain created by the chimera where experience the lesson will be forced. Sparks will dream together, and in their dream they will interact with each other, thusly creating experiences together, which experiences shall bond their respective parent spirits and the nucleus. These experientially created bonds in the nucleus will fuse comatose spirits with each beat of the pulse yet another of the great mysteries to be dealt with later. Each spirit in the nucleus shall project as many fractals of itself as there are spirits within the nucleus of the chimeron. Each of these fractals becoming a sparklet, the aforementioned point of infinite energy, the battery surrounding itself with an existential mind, which in turn shall shroud itself with an experiential mind, the human mind or human soul. It will also have a vehicle, physical or not, as per the reality or universe in which it shall spend its lifetime. Spirits within the nucleus will only awaken at graduation time, also known as birth or release, if that ever happens. If graduation does not occur, the divine cell, made of countless spirits, along with the great dream and the chimera, will succumb like a chicklet that cannot break through the shell in order to hatch, and will die within the shell. Our present time is that destinic time when the divine cell needs to break the shell, release itself, and continue on towards its own destiny. And what would that destiny be, one might ask? Pay maximum attention, because here comes the most interesting part. The matured divine cell's destiny is to show up for its destined date, which date will culminate in the greatest love story, having a rightful communion at the heart and resulting in the birth of a new source that will light up as a most brilliant star upon the greater skies. Note, these greater skies, along with all the stars/sources, are in truest actuality an absolute mind having stars, sources as neurons. On Beloved and Beloved the Other, or how the greatest love story comes into being. Upon detaching from the source, specific few spirits shall come to rest upon the blades of oblivion, another of the great mysteries that we shall save for later, where they will be split into two distinct halves, one on either side of the oblivion, separated yet sharing the same heart and pulse. The two halves shall start developing each on its respective side of the oblivion, which oblivion shall provide all necessary resources for growth. At a specific stage, they will turn into pods which will attract newborn spirits. Soon enough, the pods will turn into chimerons, or divine cells, also known as creations. Each half will continuously be longing to reunite with its other half, growing on the other side of the oblivion, in order to become whole again, and implicitly becoming a new source, a new brilliant star in the greater skies. And there you have it, the greatest love story, greater than creation itself, and which spans over two creations uniting two matured divine cells.